Let's say you want to start painting in watercolor. What do you need? You need paper, first of all, a variety of papers. I'll talk more about that another time. You need paints, naturally. You can go fancy with a little artisanal box with handmade paints, or you can squeeze tube paints into plastic container, or you can go cheap with about $20. You can get all these colors that are not necessarily for children. This is how I started. You need brushes. There are very many brushes that can be used. These are the ones I use the most. You need a pencil if you want to draw first. You need lots of water. I like to keep it in clear containers so I know when it's dirty. You need a rag to wipe your brushes on. And then if you're not using a block for your paper, you need something to clip your paper on, or else you can use masking tape to attach it. An important technique in watercolor painting is a flat wash. So I took a piece of watercolor cold press paper, taped it onto a board, squeezed some rose of ultramarine in a little bowl, added water, mixed it, and now with a mop brush, which is good for this purpose because it holds a lot of paint, I am painting across left to right or right to left, but in such a way as to ensure that I do not leave streaks. So your stroke has to always touch the previous stroke. This is called a flat wash. You start with a flat wash and you drop water in it. I'm just touching it with my brush that has just clean water. Then you wait. This is how that wash dried, and then you can go back with white gouache, which is a kind of opaque watercolor, and mark some stars. You could also make some yellow ones with cadmium yellow, and if you want to get fancy, you can get gold gouache, and you have a beautiful starry night. Next to the flat wash is the graded wash, and with the graded wash you don't keep adding paint, so that you're decreasing the color as you go down the page. This is very useful for skies, which usually become lighter. And it doesn't have to be all done at the first pass. Let's say you want to intensify a little bit. You have to kind of control the water that wants to rush down, but that's what brushes are for. And a mop brush is very useful for this because, again, it carries a lot of water and a lot of paint. And when you're done, forgot to show you, make sure you get rid of the extra water that accumulates around here, because if it goes back into your painting, it causes things. It causes things that I will tell you about next time. What do you do with a flat wash? You can do many things with a flat wash, but the more obvious thing to do is to do another flat wash on top of it. And in this case, I'm using the same color. It's a dark color, so there's not going to be a huge contrast, but there you go, camel's hump. You could also do the same profile of my favorite mountain under a graduated wash. I'm using that rose of ultramarine that I used in the flat wash, and here I can have this wash be graduated. So we have a graduated wash under a graduated wash, and I can strengthen it here a little bit. Now I think straight lines are overrated, but let's say you really want a straight horizon line. You could put masking tape wherever you want the horizon line to be on your paper, and then you proceed. you remove this, and you have a nice straight horizon line. And you can simply add some seabirds. And you have yourself a painting. It looks even nicer after the masking tape has been removed. Here you can see a little bit of the bloom because I didn't wipe well enough. But that's okay because it's water and it is not supposed to be perfect. Something else you can do with a graded wash is the outline of a city or parts of a city. So here I have the Roman Pantheon. Very loose, very relaxed. When the first layer is dry, you do another layer, making sure you don't entirely cover the previous one. And then if you want, you could do an entire series of these. The third type of wash, and it's my favorite type of wash, is called a variegated wash. And what that means is that you don't have to be mathematical about it. It doesn't have to be flat and perfect, nor does it have to grade evenly or even unevenly, but rather you mix different colors on the paper while everything is wet. So this is one possible granulated wash, and I used 3 colors. You can use more, you can use just 2, but you do need at least 2 colors to have a variegated wash. And again, I recommend that you do this so that the water doesn't go back into the wash and cause blooms. Likewise, on this variegated wash, I can do another variegated wash, starting with the lunar earth and some blue, cerulean blue, and ending with more cobalt violet. And after this second gradated wash, I can do a third one. There you go. It's simple, but I think it's beautiful. And then on the bottom of this, you could do yet another layer. And this is a flat wash. One of the things you could do with a very boring landscape like this is be realistic, pretend you are in Vermont in the winter and make snow. And watch. See? I used gouache, white gouache, which is a opaque type of watercolor paint. Mix it with water, and then I use an old toothbrush to spatter some white.